Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Type V3 and raise up your stars and stripes for the ultimate form of justice. This is Figma Captain America, otherwise known as Steve Rogers, based off of his appearance in Marvel's The Avengers. Unlike with their previous release Thor, Max Factory have abandoned on-screen accuracy in favor of taking huge artistic liberties with Captain America. The best way to describe the changes is that Figma Cap is hella anime, and I dig it. The figure just evokes heroism. The entire costume has been streamlined, but plenty of small details remain. Subtle surface sculpting and silver highlights break up the solid red, white, and blues, and the flat finish on the suit give it a leathery look as opposed to the original costume's heavier cloth material. Also, the quality of the paint apps are consistent with no major issues. Proportionally speaking, Figma Cap definitely resembles someone at the peak of human physical condition, though there are some questionable aspects to the body. First, the chest. It's nice and beefy, yet it's awfully narrow. It's missing that traditional V-shaped torso that's often associated with Steve Rogers. His backside has the exact opposite issue. Those lats are huge. They're so big that they appear more like a short cape rather than muscle. Finally, lifting up Cap's arms reveal an awkward divot in the sculpt, like someone carved a chunk out of the body. As for the visible Figma joints, they're only a slight visual concern. When it comes to the head sculpt, well, Chris Evans, this is not. Although it's certainly a Caucasian male, and I suppose that's enough, especially since the mask turned out great. Much like Figma Thor, the face comes off and together with an included tool, you can activate the posable eye gimmick, though, also like Thor, Cap's baby blues could have used some dotted in pupils. As a bit of a missed opportunity, Captain America doesn't come with an unmasked head, although with Max Factory's poor track record on live action face sculpts, maybe this is a blessing in disguise. Overall presentation on this 5 3/4 inch figure is fairly great. From a technical standpoint, the detailing is impressive, and the only real issue is the oversized back muscles. For articulation, Cap's head is a ball hinge on a ball joint, so there's a lot of movable range here side to side, up and down, good amount of tilting. The torso is interesting. This may look like a solid piece of plastic, but it's not. It's just a thin little flap that gives you the illusion that there's a chest there. The chest is on a ball joint, as is the waist. The arms are connected on a barbell joint, so there's a ball joint in here, one in the chest, a good amount of shifting side to side. You can pull it outwards, goes forwards, and then of course there's an angled bicep cut right at the top, so you can have some amount of bicep rotation, not the full 360, but enough to get all the poses you'd want. For the elbow joint, it's a very round Figma joint, as you can see, but because this bicep is so huge, the range of motion is pretty much stuck at 90 degrees. I was kind of surprised and a bit disappointed to see that. You can swivel at the forearm, and then for the wrist, like all Figmas, it's just a hinged peg mechanism which you can rotate and hinge out wherever you want. For the legs, they're just a simple ball joint, so basically they go up, out to the side, and a bit of rotation. And of course, there is a bar that connects right through the crotch, so you can do a little bit of wiggling. Interesting on this Figma, this, I guess, crotch piece is basically just underwear. You can move it up on its own, it's separate, and there's little cuts right in the plastic there so that when you stretch the leg out further, it splits. I don't know how that's going to hold up over time, so I wouldn't really leave them in too many dramatic poses for too long. For the knee, it's a single knee joint, and you can tell right here, the Figma joint right there. And it does a little bit of revealing that's kind of awkward. There is no calf cut, and for the ankle, all you have is the standard Figma joint, which you can go back and forth, a little bit of pivoting, and then of course some ankle rocking with a small little toe joint at the tip. For a Figma, Captain America is very articulated and well balanced. Some limitations do exist, but this is offset by the fact that he looks natural in all his poses. For accessories, let's start with the one that matters most, the shield. It's absolutely astonishing with its immaculate metallic finish that even wraps around to the backside. There's two plastic straps, both of which detach, and together with an included pair of clasped hands, Cap can equip the shield. It isn't the most secure connection, however, it should hold fine for most situations. Sadly, there's no way to store the shield on the figure's back. The rest of Captain America's personal accessories are all hands. You've already seen the fists, and of course there are the expected open palms too. Then there's the single right pointing finger. Strange how there isn't a matching left hand option here. Next are a pair of saluting hands. These may appear straightforward, yet they do have a second function. They double as the shield-wielding hands, so you can display Steve Rogers playing Ultimate Frisbee. The last pair of hands are a generic pair of gripping hands, so that Cap can interact with foreign objects. Finally, the standard Figma bag and display stand finish up the accessory count. There's two things you need to know about Figma Captain America. First, if you're after a cap that meticulously conveys his look in the Avengers film, this toy is not for you. And second, if you're hoping for a reasonably priced 1/12 scale cap, again, turn away, because the $60 price tag that this figure commands doesn't exactly make it the most affordable toy. So with those two key points aside, what do we have left? Well, assuming you can get behind the anime stylings, Figma Cap is honestly one of the best core figures Max Factory has ever produced. It's gorgeous to look at, and there's a nice balance between sacrificing overall aesthetics in favor of increased articulation. The face sculpt is disappointing, as is the non-inclusion of different expressions or even an unmasked head. On the other hand, the shield is beautiful, and I do enjoy the movable eye gimmick. And yet, between the praise and complaints, the figure as a whole ultimately feels boring. There's just nothing quite special about it. It's a very good toy, still I was expecting something more. That said, Marvel fans are sure to enjoy Figma Captain America, while those with a passing interest are recommended to leave this one on store shelves. But that's all for me. Thanks for watching, and while both of Figma's premiere Marvel releases haven't exactly lived up to the hype, I'm still holding out hope for Iron Man to save the day.